All right. We are honored to have here a legend in the board game industry, Mr. Peter Olotka. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Well, it's great to be here.
You have a lot to talk about today, and there has been a lot of news recently today as well, or in the past few weeks regarding some IP properties. So we're excited to talk about your games coming up. We're excited to talk about Dune. We're excited to talk about Cosmic Encounter, two games that have actually had a huge impact in the industry. So, and the thing I want to talk about the most, I guess, right now is let's just start with Dune. That's what people are excited about. We'll start with Dune. I think you had some questions on your end, Ryan, specifically for Dune that you wanted to ask.
Yeah, indeed. So, Peter, hello yet again. I know we had talked about it before with the call, but I have been immersed within the story of Dune, the theme of Dune, everything that is Dune related. With the new 2020 movie coming out and this board game that was most recently announced, I've got a boatload of Dune questions, or a spice load of Dune questions to be able to ask you. So first and foremost, for those that don't know the news, Gale Force Nine, a company who has purchased a lot of different IPs from different sorts of media, such as I know they did like a WWE game. They did a lot of Star Trek. I think they did Ascendancy. They're doing an
Firefly.
Aliens game too.
Firefly.
Yes.
Yep.
Firefly. They've picked up Dune. And you were telling us before the call this really fascinating story about how this all came to be. So first and foremost, how is this board game from 1970 from the 70s, right? 79?
Yeah.
How is this now coming back in the year of 2019?
Well, I'll give a little preface to the story I just told, because it has there are some startling parallels to the first Dune game that we did in this one. So you guys probably don't know it, but we're actually in some sort of a time travel parallel universe warp right at the very moment.
That makes
I hope
sense.
you,
Yeah.
but there's nothing I can do for you.
Sure.
So the reason there's a parallel story is that when we first did this game, we had finished Cosmic Encounter. We had a small amount of notoriety. There was no gaming industry. You have to understand. There was no gaming industry. There was Avalon Hill. They had some, war games, and that was it. So after we finished Cosmic Encounter, we had all been, by we, I mean Jack Kittredge, Bill Everly, and myself, and another guy at the time, Bill Norton, who went out of the company early. And we were all reading science fiction. We were reading, Heinlein, Isaac Asimov, and Frank Herbert. And we're thinking, wow, why don't we do a book? Why don't we like science? So let's do a Dune game. Yeah, come on, okay. We didn't know, licensing, IP, whatever. And so we quickly learned that you can't just do a Dune game. But So I said, okay, I'll find out who has it. So calling around, and the only people really to call would be Avalon Hill.
Mm-hmm.
I probably wrote them a letter.
What's the letter? What's the letter?
Exactly. And I probably wrote it by hand.
That's amazing.
No, that I can't fathom.
It's hard to fathom. But there you go. So it gets to Avalon Hill. I had a conversation with I think it was Eric Dott, his father. There were two Dotts, son and father. And I said, we're the guys who did Cosmic. So we had a tiny bit of notoriety, not a lot, but it was kind of within certain circles really being, what is this, And so Avalon Hill said, we already have a guy doing it, forget it. So we sort of forgot it and moved on to something else. And it wasn't more than, in my memory anyway, 3 weeks later, I get a call. The guy's game stunk. You guys want to try it?
Oh, that's good.
Literally. He goes, we didn't like the work. And he says, how about you guys giving it a try? And I guess we got a chance to give it a try because we had done Cosmic, and that was, in in Avalon Hill's world, that was pretty shocking.
Yeah.
Because I don't think there was any competition. We certainly weren't competition, but we were manufacturing our own game. We had and we had, we went to shows and tried to sell it to distributors. You can't sell one game to a distributor.
Yeah.
You're crazy.
You're pioneers for sure, right?
Yeah. So we have the deal, and we quickly decided that what we should do with this property is make each of these main characters have a special power. It's the same thing as what we just did, only this one has a map.
That's true.
So we figured out the whole deal about the wind going around and the map and all that. And they said to us, "Well, you guys get the art done, will you?" So the art on the original game was done by Linda Bound, she passed away a decade ago from cancer, but she was a great artist for this stuff at that time, and she did all of the art for the characters. And they had somebody do the cover. His name's he has his name on the cover.
Is it Chris?
Yeah, Chris White. Is it White?
Chris White. Yeah, Chris White.
Yeah, we never knew him. So we did the game. And Avalon Hill, published the game, and it sold really well. And then the movie came out, and I called Eric and I said, "Look, the movie is coming out. Change the box cover. Put Sting on the box cover." So
put Sting on the box cover.
Yeah, because he's going to be in the movie.
Oh, look at that. Oh, that's amazing.
I don't see a lot of the Sting box covers, but that was the second edition specifically for the movie, which crashed. Everybody,
oh yeah, absolutely. That the movie, I was.
And the game stopped selling.
Oh.
I have a literal royalty report for 38 cents. That was it.
Oh my gosh.
Dune, the end of the reprint, until the French did it in the 90s and made this one.
Look at that huge box.
That's a
giant box. And it got an award. It was the Cannes Award, and the Cannes Gaming Award or something. So it gets a big award in the 90s. We never knew about it. No one told us.
Oh
we didn't get any royalties. So when Avalon Hill got sold to, when Hasbro bought it, I went after Hasbro and said, "Okay, you're responsible now, and we got a few bucks off the royalties."
Oh, that's good.
So there was the whole thing. It was like this funny thing. There was a game. There wasn't a game. So this is the same thing. It's happening again. There's going to be a movie.
Yep.
The game comes out of nowhere. We can't do it because we did the Rex deal. So we have to fix, we have to get rid of that. So then who's going to do this? Well, I guess it'll be us.
Right.
Well, it's good they involved you this time at least, right?
But this time the movie is going to be great. And but John Paul is releasing it a year ahead of the movie. So in my view, that's just in case.
So is the art the same for this reprint? Are they going to take the old art,
no,
or is it all new art?
The Ilya art, which is the stuff that's been online for decades, really. And a lot of the fans have made their own maps. And what John Paul did is he bought all of that. He got all of that, and then he bought us. So he has a done game and he has done art, and that's why he's going to get the game out quickly. So, because I said to him, "You'll never get this done." He said, "Yes, I will. I have the art. I have your system." So we've been working night and day to be ready, to have this thing launched at Escape Velocity. And that's the science fiction convention on May 24th.
Oh, so it's that soon.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Wow. So yeah, that was. I mean, you've already answered like a number of different questions. We were kind of curious, like with this reprint. Ilya's work. Seen it. It's beautiful. There's like tabletop simulator. There's a tabletop simulator mod that I downloaded for it, and it just looks absolutely stunning. So how has it been revisiting Dune now? Now that this Gale Force 9 bought it. They bought you. They have all this art. They have this game. Like, how has it been playtesting?
So
here's that
again? I'm glad we're doing this now because Saturday we spent 10 hours with the North Shore meetup gamers.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa.
we had 11, 12 of us there. Jack and Bill and I were there. And we met at my house. We have a family home up on the North Shore. And Jack and Bill and I have not been in the same room since 2000.
Whoa.
15 years ago, when Hasbro bought Cosmic Encounter, got the Hasbro licensed Cosmic, and we met with the Hasbro guys up there because it's a nexus. It's between, if you come from Jack's house, Bill's up in Maine, Jack's in Western Mass, and Cape Cod. That's the central point where we can meet.
Yeah.
So we met there for the Hasbro Cosmic deal, and all Mike Ray and all those guys showed up.
Yeah.
So we did the same thing. So we had all these gamers up there in the house day before yesterday on Saturday, and
Wow.
and it was terrific. They were all Dune. They all knew more Dune than anybody but Jack probably knows everything, but they all knew more Dune than I did, certainly. And they brought all of their rules. One guy had a perfect Elia map. We played one game on the new map because the fans have made their own stuff.
Yeah.
And they provided, exquisite professional advice on what kinds of things we ought to tinker with and what we ought to do. Mm-hmm. And right now we're putting that all together, for Gale Force 9. And so hopefully we'll get there. I mean, that's all we've been doing all day long. We've been doing.
So, I mean, it's in good hands, right? Like, they do fantastic work. Gale Force 9 does, production-wise, gameplay-wise. I really love their stuff. So are you saying that this will hit shelves at the end of May, or is it just at that convention and it'll be on shelves at a later point?
The plan is that the convention will be the first public announcement, and we'll have it there.
Okay.
That's awesome. Okay.
So John Paul says they'll either express ship it from China, or he'll do print out, machine printout.
Print and play, or
play, yeah.
So with the feedback that you've gotten so far and this original design, what thing I want to even step back a little bit, because you've said that there have been people throughout the decades who have made their own maps, have made their own tweaks, have made their own art. What are you looking at wanting to potential? I mean, are we looking at Dune as it has been coming into 2019, or are we looking at trying to bring in some modernization from the last 30 odd years into this game?
I think some things will be cherry picked.
Okay.
That we believe will work. And I think we will primarily depend on, the sophisticated Dune players who have been playing it, for their advice and suggestions. Of course, Board Game Geek, I mean, there'll be, it will be our Dune game.
Yeah.
And it will be better. With what tweaks and stuff. And we have a lot of stuff that I probably shouldn't say out loud, because if it doesn't get in, or it really sucks later, I don't know. But there's not a lot of stuff. I'm just saying that overall, it's going to be our game.
Yeah.
And it's going to be, I think it's going to look terrific. And I like what, what Elia did with all of the art. And I like that the John Paul has just, he's been really brilliant about putting this all together. And I think there'll be more than just this. I think there'll be other things coming with it.
Yeah. So, for instance, I noticed in the back you have both expansions of Spice Harvest and the Duel. Are you looking at wanting to bring, if possible, bring those in too?
Yeah, there's a funny thing about that. So one of the guys at the convention says, not at the convention, or our playtest, he goes, yeah, we had the two. He goes, these are kind of weird expansion sets. They don't seem like what expansion sets really are. And I said, yeah, because nobody made any expansions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And actually, what the French version did is it put the Duel inside it. So this little battle fight, which is kind of just a cool, really, dueling experience, is actually part of the French version.
The French version.
Oh, okay.
So as far as where those things are going to fit, I don't really know yet. I mean,
Okay.
We'll
That's
have to make
fair.
a decision pretty quick, but we'll have to see. There's nothing specific about it. But I do know that, from John Paul's position, he really feels that, the game as it was is basically what he wants. And these are all, little things that we find. There's not a lot of errata. But there's some rough edges in that thing. I mean,
Yeah.
what did we know? We didn't know. We didn't know anything then. Here's I'll tell you, the secret to Dune is this, and players are. This is a long-standing kind of. I don't want to call it a battle, but this is a long-standing battle that I've had with gamers, which is gamers want balance.
They do.
And you
They
don't.
want balance, and I don't. What I want is I want the players to feel like the characters. Those characters had no balance. The Harkonnen smashed people, and it was not balanced. If you make it balanced, it's not Dune. It's you might as well be wearing a fancy costume and everybody's equal. But everybody has a different costume on. So what? I mean, it's the same thing about Cosmic Encounter. When people say, well, that alien, it's not very strong. That's right. If you go out in the universe, you might wind up being an alien that's not very strong. Figure it out, boy.
That's
you
good.
make everybody a big, these games of just mayhem where who can smash the most has no appeal to me whatsoever. And I actually think, as far as I'm concerned, it's not appealing for children to play those kind of games.
Right.
I think they're harmful to people's psyche. That's my opinion.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Just in gameplay in general, for me, it's not about balance. It's about feeling in this kind of stuff. You want to feel the character.
Yeah.
And I have one more short story about this, and then you could ask me the question. So the short story is, when we very, very, very first were playing this, I was the Harkonnen, and I could do all this stuff. And about 10 minutes into the game, I went, "I'm the Harkonnen! I knew it!" He had the game because it felt so like you were the character, and all of them, like if you're the Bene Gesserit, you're sitting there plotting, and nobody knows what you're up to.
It's true.
And you don't care about a lot of the other stuff that they're all caring about. You're sitting in the middle on the polar sink plotting.
Oh man.
So that's
well, and really, it sounds like that's why it has had such staying power, right? Because people have that emotional connection to it. So I think that's just been a fantastic tell of that game. That's awesome. That's super cool. Now, for that idea of not having balance, is this also taken over to FFG's version of it in Rex, or is that something that they try to balance a bit more?
A little more balanced than Dune, and I caution players about feeling that Rex is Dune. Rex is the Dune play system in another world, where those, and we did use similar abilities for that. But I mean, that was Chris's idea, and I liked the idea. It was cool. We got to do, he got to invent that thing, and we got to overlay it. I think they did a pretty good job of it, in my opinion.
Sure.
It doesn't have the same, kind of deep history as Dune does.
Right.
Chris's world, and I thought it was terrific, for him to be able to do that. There's one other thing about Dune. When I was watching people playing it Saturday, and I was in, I was in a game, but there was a lot of breaking going back and forth. At the very beginning of the game, when people are bidding, it's already started.
Immediately.
After the bidding round, you already feel like who you are. Like the Atreides knows what the card. So everybody,
yep.
What the Atreides doing? The Atreides, a bit 8 on the la la la, you know. So, start, and I hadn't realized that. I mean, maybe at some point, but when I was watching, I said, you know, that little bidding round really just sets the stage immediately for who you are, and it's really funny the way that little happening, you know, makes that statement.
Oh yeah.
It's I'm trying to think of a game in modern times that encapsulates that, because you see that a lot in video games. You want to feel like you're a sniper. You want to feel like you're a big bad, like gun-toting, heavy machinery guy. In board games, there has been a lot of emphasis of having the level field being completely fair and balanced, right, versus wanting to make you feel like the Harkonnen, the Bene Gesserit, the Empire, that sort of thing. Is there off at the top of our heads like anything? I don't, maybe Root, and I just saying, like,
yeah,
is it
that's
Root
true.
would be the only one?
I think so.
Well, people haven't seen, the reason we did these kind of games is we were just reading science fiction and saying, how can you have a science fiction experience in a game? And having that experience means, well, what are all these things out there? You know, well, we're reading, you know, Heinlein and Asimov and all these guys, you know. So, I mean, one of the deals, I got to meet Isaac Asimov when we did our robots game.
That's cool. The
robots game is back there. I don't know if it's up there on the.
Yeah.
That I remember seeing. Yeah. Is that the VHS game? Yeah.
Yeah. There was about 10 minutes of time when people bought games to play on their VCR, you know? And then they said, why are we doing this?
Why?
Yeah.
Jack and I actually did that game, and we had to write the screenplay. And so it was really like a little screenplay. You know, it was a little movie. Oh, and the way we had to write it was you had to write it so everything everybody said could mean 6 different things. It was like a lot of double entendres, and it was really fun to write. But cool. I got to meet Isaac Asimov.
So no, and that's perfect. I think again, it's going to be what I want to be able to do is I want to be able to get Dune as it's in that original box as I'd shown you, out onto the table, then play Rex, then play the new version. Like this year, it will happen. And it's really great to hear that come Escape Velocity, which is a huge Cosmic Encounter tournament that you guys run, is when people, I think, will be able to officially know and play and be able to take a look at it, which I know a majority of Dune fans and board gamers alike are really excited, which I think is a good transition, because Cosmic Encounter, the game that kind of, again, brought you onto the light, is just had... What is it? 42nd anniversary was not too long ago, right?
That was 2018, the 42nd anniversary.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep. So
Oh,
there it is.
That.
It's a big box with all. Yep. Yeah, that is excellent. An extremely classic game, a game that I feel like, I think most people, like, it's Tom Vassel's favorite game, or was for a very long time. And I think it's one of those games that I just think that anyone who's into the gaming hobby, board gaming hobby, more so than just like your Monopolies or Saris and Catans, Cosmic Encounter, I feel like, is just one of those games you just have to play, whether it be once or whether you want to continue to play it. I just feel like it's a classic in that way. And so now, and there's a whole event now called Escape Velocity that we've made mention to, but let's talk more about that. So Escape Velocity in Maryland, this is a huge tournament that all revolves around Cosmic Encounter. How does that all work?
Well, that's a great question, because you have to realize that this is the 42nd anniversary, but this is the first annual Galactic Cosmic Encounter Championship Tournament. You're playing for the galaxy, and it's never been done before. So we don't know how it's going to go, but we're going to be there. And it came from Charles Hindenburg. Charles is the production counsel for the Museum of Science Fiction and Escape Velocity. And they're raising money to build a Museum of Science Fiction. Mm-hmm. So Charles kind of found us in a very interesting story, which is that last year, 2018, which was I think that was the third year they've ever had this con. It's a new convention, but it's science and science fiction. Like NASA's there, they have scientists, and they have science fiction stuff all blended together. And I thought that I should go to it. I haven't gone to a con in a long time, but the science fiction was really appealing to me. So I filled out a form and I send it in, and nobody answers. It's like, can you do a conference? Can you do a little piece? Can you be a speaker? Yeah, me, I can go do that. So I fill the form, nobody answers. So I forget about it. And then I keep getting these mailings because I'm on the list. And I said, well, I give him what am I, chopped liver? No, nobody answers. So I fire off this, letter to the editor, letter.
Is this another one of those weird handwritten letters again?
No, this was last year, so it was actually
okay.
So I get a phone call almost immediately from Charles. Charles says, "Peter, is that you?" Yeah. Who are you? Yeah, I don't know who he is. And he goes, "Oh, of course you have to come. You have to be here. Cosmic Encounter is my favorite game. I played Cosmic Encounter with you when I was 10 years old at LunaCon in New York City in 1977.
Oh, man.
You have to come." So that was how that started. That's the exact. I mean, that's the conversation we had.
Blew
and so
his
Charles, that's right, and Charles is, not only a huge Cosmic fan, but he goes back and forth between Dune and Cosmic as his favorite game.
Oh my gosh, that's perfect. That is
perfect. So a couple of days ago, when this whole when the Dune thing kind of overlapped with this escape velocity. So just to back up for a second, Charles said last year, we went down to escape velocity. He got Fantasy Flight to come and support us. We had a big booth. We were right in front of Star Wars and X-Wing. You walked in the door and there was Cosmic Encounter.
Beautiful.
Yeah, sitting there. And so at the end of it, Charles says, "Okay, here's what. Next year, we're going to have a Cosmic Encounter World Championship tournament."
Okay.
Yeah. It's Charles's deal. So we've been trying to hit the bushes to get people out there.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's a board game geek convention the same week in Texas, the same weekend in Texas. And this is a con that's only 4 years old. It hasn't got any long legacy.
Mm-hmm.
So we're trying to encourage people to come down and be part of this whole thing. Well, then John Paul landed on us with Dune.
Oh my gosh!
Turns out that Gale Force 9 is right there in Maryland. It's right next to where I'm like a stone's throw away. And I kept saying to him, "John Paul, you should meet Charles." So a couple of days ago, they finally got together. So Gale Force 9 is coming to the convention with everything they got.
Yep,
they're going to be right next to us. And we're going to have Dune. We're going to play Dune with players who come, after the Cosmic tournament. That's going to be awesome.
It's going to be, I think, a mecca for that type of board game. So a short story for me, when I made mention about wanting to play the Dune board game, I've had people so like for any other board game, it's like, "Oh, I can't make it." But there is something that resonates specifically for Dune, for my group. Dune specifically was like, I would drop everything that I could to play with you, but they had X, Y, and Z going on.
Right.
So I think for Escape Velocity, all I'm picturing is this just mecca of you like Cosmic Encounter and or Doom, hopefully both. Like that's going to be an event that nobody can really miss, honestly, for that type of people. I think it's going to be a great time.
What do you guys think that is? I mean, what is it about Dune in your experience that people are reacting to? I mean, it's really shocking. I mean, it's like, wow.
I would honestly, I was going to say like that was going to be a question we wanted to ask you, or I wanted to ask you about Dune. But so Well, so for me, and Jacob, I don't know if you have any
I'd like to hear both of your
experience with Dune, but for me specifically, like I've always been aware of Dune and never really got into it for whichever reason. And then as you know, you expressed interest in joining us on the show, and I'm like, okay, let's give Dune a shot. And I'm within a circle of friends that love science fiction, read a lot, and they're like, you haven't read Dune yet? And I'm like, no. And they're like, just go to Amazon, like get the book, come back after you've read it all. And it's what's great about it is that now we've been able to, with one specific friend, we've been able to like go back and forth and really check in about like where we are in the book and like what's happening and the political struggles and the the world that is encapsulated, that is like this very adult themed. One correlation I've seen being like it's Star Wars for adults, like pure adults, because you do see like this real correlation between Paul Atreides and young Luke Skywalker, and being the Quizarach Herod. I can never say that name.
Well, everybody knows what you mean, though.
Yes. And then just the Bene Gesserit, just having this innate kind of energy where they can see things. It's like you really got this like it's like Star Wars before Star Wars, and it grips people, and it has gripped me, because even the first scene in that book, which isn't really it isn't I think spoilers, but the Gom Jabbar, in the scene where Paul puts his hand into the box, right. That scene, I've read it and I listened to the audiobook, is immediately like just impactful at both times. And I think the book just right off the gate, it's like, this is it. And I even told him, I'm like, that part was awesome. Like, I'm immediately hooked, and I want to be able to see where this all goes. And then you start hearing about the Baron and what he plans to do. And then you learn about Arrakis. You get to read about how Spice is mined and the worm. Like, there's it, like I said, it immediately grips you, and then you start feeling this world, this world about sand, but there's so much more about it. And that's what so far has been so gripping to me about Dune. Why it has meant so much to people, with sci-fi. So Jacob, what about you?
Well, also I was going to say, and so like with me, my introduction to Dune was actually through Rex. I came into the hobby with Rex, like I was saying before. And so I actually have no really history with Dune itself, but I think there's this mysticism that's been created around Dune since it's been out of print for so long. And just the fact that it's coming back, and there's a lot of people's it's been in their mindset for so long as a game they can't have. And so now the fact that they can have it, I think will be a big deal to them. And I'm excited for it personally because of my history with Rex. I've played that game a bunch. I just love the interaction between everything there. So I'm actually really excited to see the source material for that game, just to see how everything just kind of comes together. So I'm really interested to see how the reception is in the community, because there's all this excitement right now, and that's totally going to carry over when that game becomes available for everyone. Now, I'm interested though to see what the interaction is between you and Fantasy Flight and Rex. What exactly was that interaction? How did Rex come to be in? I mean, I know there's a lot of history there, but
Rex was because when we first licensed Cosmic Encounter, the Fantasy Flight, courtesy really of Kevin Wilson, who was the great designer who really brought this new Cosmic to life with his treatment of the the aliens and the phases. So we licensed Cosmic, and Chris Peterson basically was licensing all of anything that fit his marketing sense. So Cosmic Encounter and Borderlands he did for Gear World. And he said, well, what about Dune? Well, the story of Dune was that it wasn't one of the Eon Products games. Dune was done by Jack Kittredge, Bill Eberly, and myself separately outside of the Eon Products company. So it was not, three of us we called ourselves Future Pastimes, which is what we are now still. Only now we're an LLC, and my son Greg is part of it. And Jack isn't. So
Oh,
Jack's
okay.
in Neon Products. He's our treasurer, at the company.
Got it.
But Jack and Bill and I were the people who did the Dune game, and Chris basically said, well, he thought he could get the rights, so he tried to get, and we could redo the game because it all rests on getting the license from the owners of the license, which is the Herbert estate. And prior to that, Hasbro had tried to get the rights for the game from the Herbert estate because they bought Avalon Hill.
Mm-hmm.
So
sure.
property came along with that. But the Herbert estate was not interested in games and was not interested in licensing. So Chris couldn't get it. So he came up with the idea of creating a property that would work with the Dune mechanisms. So we licensed the basic underlying framework of Dune and gave it a nice, simultaneous wheel dial systems and such.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
and then we did that, and they built, the game. The game Rex was basically made to conform to using, his characters
Mm-hmm.
and roles that were parallel enough to what we had in Dune, so that we could use basically the same mechanisms and basically the same interaction. But it's not trying to be Dune. It's trying to use a play system.
right.
And I think, comparisons between the two, they're fun to do, but they don't have any real, technical or, technical significance. Things are the way they are with Rex because it's a different world.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have to be identical. It wouldn't feel right to be specifically identical to every single thing in Dune.
Right. Were you happy with the outcome though, in general?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, it was fine. I just know now that Chris is gone, I think Twilight Imperium is in a different. I don't know what its status is. I don't know if Chris took it with him or whatever. I mean, his whole, collection of Twilight Imperium games. So
Yeah, that's true.
But it was a great thing for us and a great thing for them, and it's just that that's ending and this is beginning. So we had to work out, what everybody's circumstances were, but everything's done and we're well on our way.
So
awesome.
Obviously the Herbert estate has changed position from not wanting to sell to sell. Was there a specific reasoning, or was it just that enough time has passed that they were just like, it's time?
I think it's the movie, the occurrence of the movie is what has changed everything. And John Paul at Gale Force 9 knows the movie people.
Okay.
And so I think he just worked deals and blah, 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 and finally wound up with Gale Force 9 is going to be the one entity that does Dune games.
Gotcha.
That's awesome. It's going to do so good for him.
So that's, they'll be doing games. It's like, we did Game of Thrones, so we got a call from Fantasy Flight, was it 3 years ago? And they, what do you guys think of lending Cosmic Encounter to Game of Thrones?
Yeah. Yeah, the Iron Throne.
The Iron Throne, yeah.
The Iron Throne. I'm telling you, that game is like Dune and Cosmic mixed. You play the Iron Throne. Yes. People don't know it because, Fantasy Flight has like 11 or 12 Game of Thrones games.
Oh, yeah.
We're just one of this big, I'm thinking, oh, yeah, we're going to be the HBO game. Yeah, right. But the game itself, the way the game works, we did the same thing. We said, you have to feel like, this house. You have to feel like that. So that's the key to making these games, get down into people's psyche.
Right.
It's different than, when you play our games, you really shouldn't be thinking about winning. You should be thinking about what's this going to be like?
Yes. Okay. And
how's it
That's
gonna
how
come
we
out?
agree. That's how we agree.
You know?
Both
yeah,
Dave and I.
exactly. And that's especially with Cosmic. Like I've introduced that game to so many people, and I have to like as just approach this like as a fun experience. Like if you win, that's fantastic. And I think my favorite moment in this game over the past like half a decade that I've been playing Cosmic Encounter, is when everyone won but one person. Like it's just things like that where it's just super funny and it's so good. It's been a game that's definitely been a big hit that I love to introduce people to, like that aren't really into the hobby as much as we are. But it's been so great. Like the history of it, it's hard to touch upon all the huge history that Cosmic has. But as of now, like is there anything else that you guys are involved with Cosmic? Are you involved in any of the expansions or anything like that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool.
Yep. That's it. No more. Move on.
Okay.
Yeah.
If in the history then of Cosmic, what's been your favorite alien race, or what's an alien race that you think?
Well, I
surprised you most?
I have two things on what aliens are. The first thing is that what they're not is they're not races, because races are members of the same species. There are no alien races. They are alien beings.
Beings.
Okay. Yes, they aren't related. I mean, the laser is not related to the Grumpus, believe me.
Right. Okay, that makes sense.
Favorite alien, I picked my favorite alien early before there were 190. Now there's 197 if you want to pick up with that number.
Wow.
Most people think it's 196, but there'll be a special alien called the Booster at escape velocity.
Ooh.
Who comes.
Wow. Look at that.
They're alien. So of the 197 aliens, the one that I liked early on was the Philanthropist.
Oh, that's a good one.
The normal Cosmic player would go, I want to play with Oh, no. The Philanthropist gets more new hands.
Oh, yeah.
And it's simple. You just go like this. Allow me to present you with a token of my esteem.
And just hand it to him.
Just hand it to him.
Oh, that's too good.
Not only can you hand out tokens of esteem, but you can hand something to your ally at a crucial time.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, it's just this subtle power that nobody worries about. Nobody wants to they don't gang up on you to take it away. You get new hands all the time, and you can begin to control the game by placement of cards. You know what people have because you've given it to them.
Right.
So I just love it. And I think the reason I like it is it has that subtlety of play.
Yeah. You mentioned before our call here that you put a couple Easter eggs in of family members into Cosmic Encounter. If your granddaughters, right? Is that what you were saying?
Yes. Well, Tess and Lila Bhutan, my granddaughters, my daughter's children. They're from Davis, California. And both of them learned to play Cosmic at about 5 years old. At that time, we were also running Cosmic Encounter online. It was a Flash app. It was online for 10 years.
Oh, wow.
2000 to 2014. And Tessie played all the time on there with us. And I basically played lots of 2-player Cosmic with them. And then we play 3-player games. Today, if I'm in a game with them, I don't have a prayer. And the other thing is they want everything in. Every single little scrap of Cosmic stuff from every expansion set.
Oh, my gosh.
Can't we just play No, Grandma, everything's going in. Pile it in.
Oh, that's good.
It's so funny because I got a text from Tess. It was a year and a half ago, and she was just a picture, and she said, "This is the birthplace of the assistant." That was one of her aliens, was the assistant, and it was a picture of a dirt road out in Davis, and we were walking out there. We were hiking out there when I was visiting, and Tess comes up with this idea for the assistant, and the assistant is an alien that helps everybody. It's in the sixth expansion in Cosmic Dominion, and it
Okay.
has little cards that it gives out. Little and it comes from Tessie always having to help Lila when she was little play Cosmic.
That's
That'd be a good
cute.
silly. I could help. And so here you are. Let me help you. Well, this will help you.
This is an
Here.
amazing. This is an amazing being.
Oh, that's cute. So you also have games outside of Cosmic and Dune, upcoming games. Talk to us about Wordsmith a bit.
Well, Wordsmith comes from runes.
Oh, look at that.
Right.
Runes.
Yeah, runes. These are our names, Bill, Jack, and Peter over here.
God, what a great Easter egg. That's great.
That's right.
And runes is now becoming Wordsmith and Decipher. And so the basic runes alphabet. That's the alphabet. There's one way to make every letter.
Right.
Okay.
We had little pieces of cardboard. The new ones are really slick. And we're actually just finishing the rules now. We're doing this with Heidelberg in Germany.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
And they were with Asmodee until recently. And now they have a deal with Asmodee for distribution, but they're on their own. Otherwise, I couldn't talk about this. But Heiko, who runs it, is he's like me. Get your stuff out there, So these are the little plastic
Yep.
guys. Both of these games are like, there must be what? I don't know, 3 dozen word games, maybe 4, there's a kind of a finite set of word games.
Mm-hmm.
This is the only word game that breaks down the letters into these 4 basic pieces. And then the reassembly and mixing and matching of them. So we're just today polishing off almost the final set of rules for Wordsmith. And Decipher will be following it.
That's awesome.
The difference is in Wordsmith, everybody's playing alone against each other. And in Decipher, the group gets, it's a changing group. So I've got a secret word and you guys are trying to decipher it.
Yep.
And then, you have a secret word and we're trying to, so it passes around the board.
Yeah.
And it's a very, very, it's an interesting game. There's a cover around that I love. Both the Decipher cover and the Wordsmith cover are both very creative. I'm going to try to dig up the pictures I can show you. I can't find them right now.
So I watched a BGG video about Wordsmith, and I think Eric Martin said it best when it was like a word game without words. Right? Or a word game without the letters. Like, that to me is like fascinating. You're like, no, like, I heard that, I was like, nah, like, how the heck do you do that? And so then, as you were showing those little plastic pieces, those that I can't see, they're basically little like lines, shorter lines, and then U shapes that can be manipulated following these sort of rules to make these letters. Yeah. So
and the word, it's an interesting game for a number of reasons. But when it was selling, it was always on the Games 100, and then the Germans, again like Heiko, did Buzzle in the 90s. It was a runner-up as Game of the Year in Germany in the 90s. So I mean, it's another unique game. It's another way of playing with words where the component parts keep reassembling. So an M is also a W, and an A is an H if you just make the little things go straight instead of like this, and it's got a little piece in the middle. And if you have a C and get a little piece, you have a G all of a sudden, but you can take that away and use it as a hyphen to make a hyphen.
Brilliant.
Or an apostrophe. So you make the word CAN apostrophe T, and everybody, what's that last letter? Oh, it's an apostrophe.
Oh, that's awesome.
Apostrophe ploy is always good for a trick.
I'm excited for that.
So we're very excited about that. And we're also talking to Heiko about our Quirks game, which is another one of the Eon games.
That's right, Quirks. That one I remember seeing. Yeah, I've never heard of Quirks before. Looking it up.
Yeah, Quirks was another one of our, at the time, award-winning games. I think with Heiko, we're gonna go through and really make it use a central system like we've done with Runes and Wordsmith and Decipher, but use the central system of Quirks, which puts a head, a middle, and a tail together. Later on, that Quirks was copied by Sim Life. It was a computer game where you put these little animals.
Oh, Sim Life! I remember that.
Oh,
yes.
You know those. Yep. You know what the things in that Sim Life game are? They were scanned in from Quirks.
Really? Oh man, I totally forgot about that game. Okay, it's all coming back.
Yeah. We didn't get a piece of that action.
Yeah. So we have Dune, Wordsmith, Quirks,
Decipher.
Right.
You know what we don't have is Darkover.
What is that?
What was that?
Darkover? You don't know our Darkover game?
No.
Educate us.
Darkover was another science fiction game that we did very early. Darkover is a series of novels by science fiction author Marion Zimmer Bradley. And we got the license to do a Darkover game. Mm-hmm. It was our worst selling game. But boy, was it a great game.
So is it time to bring it back then?
Well, I don't know. I don't know. That might be one of those licensed things.
Oh, yeah,
I think I have one right around the corner. Let me see if I can grab it.
Mixing strategic placement of counters with chanting and I dare you party mechanics makes for a truly unique game.
Look at that. Oh, that's cool. The Ages of Chaos. A game of psychic conflict. That's great. Oh, that's really great.
You know, maybe that this game was like ahead of its time.
Yeah.
We'll see. It might come back. One of the guys brought it. One of the playtesters brought it to our session the other day.
That's awesome. That's great.
But Darkover basically had a couple of features in it that were. So here's okay. Make the players feel like they're the characters.
Right.
So that was a world of psychics. They did everything with their heads and brains. So that the basic interaction was rock, break, scissors.
The great.
It was Crystal, Zapper, and something else. But that was what resolved things. But if you both played the Crystal, the two players have to stare each other in the eye till one of them laughs because they haven't got good concentration. So it's basically an eye stare.
Yeah.
We put it in the game to make players really feel like they had to use their brain. But then
that's great.
We went further. And the way we went further was we said, okay, in Marion Zimmer Bradley's novels, these psychics lived on these planets where giant forest fires would, just wreck the terrain. So in our game, if a fire came up, you had to put it out psychically, because that's what they did. The psychics used their mental acuity to put the fire out. In our game, you gamer guys have to stand up. You have to hold hands. And you have to chant, please don't burn. And if you laugh, all your guys are dead.
Oh, that's too good. I can't even. Oh, that's amazing.
Jacob, that is right up your alley.
There's always one guy who's just.
Oh, that's too good. Well, this has been just fantastic. This is it's just so exciting what's coming up. I appreciate you taking your time. Is there anything else that you want to tell our listeners? Any words of wisdom?
Well, the words of wisdom is a lot of people who play these games like to design games, and so they're always trying their hand at it. And what I recommend is don't copy stuff. Don't copy stuff. I never want to copy anybody's other game. I don't even want to play anybody else's.
No, he said something interesting. He said,
I want to make my own.
yeah.
I mean, because inside your head, you've got stuff that nobody else has in their head. So that's what you're looking for, in my opinion, anyway. I mean, there's a lot of games out there that seem like they're just, the same. And so I always want to have something that's not the same. And we had it easier because there was not a lot of competition for this kind. There weren't any games like Magic, wasn't there.
No.
Richard Garfield is a colleague and a friend, and he was a huge Cosmic fan before he made Magic.
That's interesting.
In Richard's book, in his first book, the first 4 pages, he's talking about Cosmic Encounter.
Wow.
He was a special Skype guest to our Cosmicon that we had out at Fantasy Flight in 2014.
Yeah.
I got him to Skype in for.
Oh,
he's a terrific guy. He's very modest, and he's kind of sticks at home.
Mm-hmm.
But we love Richard.
That's awesome.
Great.